What's up, y'all? I'm in the truck today. I was doing a couple little things on the outside, but nothing really important. But one of the main things about this truck that kind of irritates me is the radio. It's just a cheap Boss radio with the slide-out touchscreen and everything. But one, I can't really use the touchscreen no more with the shifter, because when the screen comes out, it hits up here, so I had to pull the radio out more. And when I have shifted in first, third, or fifth, the edge right here would be hitting the radio, and it actually broke the thing right here. And there's that. Then the main thing is just the way it functions. Like, obviously I have a USB drive in there for some music, and it goes on a shuffle, but every time it's very predictable of how the shuffle is. The tracks are always arranged in the same way, even though it's on the shuffle. And the screen is very unresponsive, and it'll freeze. And say you hit an icon up here, I think you click the icon down here, which is no good. I got decent speaker. I mean, the front speakers are kind of trash, but I got Kenwood 6x9 Kenwoods in the back that I kind of have jimmy rigged in. And with this head unit, you can't really push any bass at all, or else you hear a bunch of clipping, and it's annoying. I don't think it's the speakers themselves doing it. I think it's just the low quality radio, like the preamp or something like that. It's no good. I really don't know. So I got this one. It's an Alpine, so it should be pretty decent. And it's more like a regular radio. I mean, it's got all the things you think of a radio should have, like the USB, headphone jack, a CD player, has XM on it, Bluetooth. I guess it has a decent bass engine thing. Apparently you can control this with your phone, whether it's Apple or Android. And what else? It supports lossless audio. So it's a decent unit. So pretty much this video is me going over the installation of it. Now this, obviously I'm in the truck, but really this video applies to pretty much almost every single car that you could put an aftermarket radio in, because it's relatively the same thing. A couple of variances with like the mounts and stuff like that, but for the most part everything's the same. So I'm gonna take the faceplate off. Now normally on the Dodge Dakota you have to take off the whole thing that goes all the way around, but this has been a part in the past and it's been broke right here, so I literally just have to take off just this part, which is only held in by 4 screws. Otherwise you have to take those 4 off, these 4 off, and kind of like shimmy it around the steering wheel to clear the steering wheel, really. And it's not too hard, but this part right here would be the toughest part. That's probably where this got broke from. Also, there'll be a piece down here, a little cross, but normally I cut that off to fit the shifter better. But yeah, so let me take these 4 screws off and be able to see more of what's going on. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so with that faceplate removed, you kind of see everything you need to do. There's a screw here, and then there's a screw down here. Even on a OEM radio, it'll be like that. This is obviously an aftermarket radio, so I got this adapter bezel, because the OEM radio is like a din and a half. Well, this is a single din. There are ways to fit a double din in here, though I'm not gonna I'm not going to try to do that because I'm honestly not really interested. At least not on this truck. On the Buick, I want to put a double din in that has like the built-in GPS. Well, that's a future project. Yeah, so I got to remove this screw and pretty much the whole radio slide out. But like I said, I've had issues with the shifter hitting the radio, and I have to get that fixed. I got some super glue for that, like the Gorilla super glue, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. But I at least want to go over how to wire it and everything. So basically, just unscrew it then. Let me pull this radio out. That way I kind of get to the meat and potatoes of this video. Alright, so see you in a bit. So I got the radio out, pretty much. When you pull them out, there'll be a bunch of wires on the back of it. So be careful, don't pull too hard. I already disconnected the antenna, that's what this cable's for. So on the back of a radio, there'll be a bunch of power plugs. In this case, this is only one. So I'm just gonna unclip it. If I can get some leverage, unclip it and just move it out of the way. This radio also has external power wire for the charge up your phones and stuff like that. That's really all that wire is for. There's no data or anything going through that. That's why they had the USB in the front. So yeah, so a radio, even an OEM radio, will have, you know, one or two wiring harnesses that you're gonna have to disconnect. And the OEM radio will also have a ground on the back of the radio. Say it'll go in right here. That this radio doesn't have. Oh, it's not hooked up on this one, so that's what that would be for. The main thing, say you got an OEM radio, right? And it's messing up, or you just want new features and you go with an aftermarket radio. I implore you to get adapter harness kit. That way you're not cutting up your vehicle's harness like this one. See, it takes this is the plug for the radio, and it adapts it to the harness for the truck. Most vehicles that have aftermarket radio support will have some type of harness like this. You could theoretically splice into the factory harness, and there are ways to do it. Like, you got to figure out the constant 12 volts, switch 12 volts, a ground, how to power up the radio. Then you got to figure out the speaker wires, which there are various ways of doing that. But if you have a ready to plug in harness, you literally just plug it in and there you go. As you see, I already have a harness on here, fortunately, so that makes things a million times better. I'm just gonna disconnect it, that way I can work on it separately from the radio, like so. And this one has this, which is, I guess, a ground. So I guess it's not a ground in this connector somewhere, so I don't know. This has a this radio had a backup camera support, and I have it wired, but I'm going to just clip it because I don't need it. So there you go. That frees up this harness. And so basically what I'm doing, I'm gonna undo all this electrical tape. This is a bunch of foot connectors in here. And I'm just gonna chop the wires and wire them up. Literally, fortunately with these connectors, the aftermarket radio connectors, they all follow like a similar wiring pattern. So all you really have to do is just match up the wires, match up red to red, yellow to yellow, black to black, etc. Match up all the wires together, and that's pretty much it. Then you just plug it all in and program your radio for how you want it to run, and that's it. So like I said, let me cut these. Let me free these connectors off of this mess. Now I'll wire it into that radio, and I'll show you how I'm going about doing that. Alrighty, well I got all the tape off of here, but I'm gonna pause on that for now because I almost forgot something very important. There's a cage around these radios when you install them, and well, I need this piece, but I don't want this piece. But I'm gonna slide a radio out, and what you do, there's the radio designs have various different locking mechanisms. Obviously, this one's just like a spring with a little latch on it. Just undo the latch. Normally there'll be a tool that you pull the bezel off and stick a tool in there, and it'll unlock it. That's normally how you slide the radio out instead of having to undo everything. But since I'm replacing the radio anyway, and I gotta fix this, I gotta reglue the thing that goes right here. That's what I want to work on right now. Get that set up to where by the time I get done with wiring and everything, it should be set up enough for me to reinstall it. So I'm gonna pull these tabs and get that one started. Go around to this side. Oh man, it just locked on me. It's really hard to do one-handed. I guess I'll just bend it out of the way because the new radio comes with a new cage. So, yeah. Anyway, you just work at it and get it off. So, after a little bit of wrestling, I got the cage out. Next thing you gotta do is unbend some of these clips, like that one right there. Like that one right there. And those couple over there. You gotta unbend those, that way you can saw the cage itself out. But I'll probably do that in a little bit later. That way I got some support on this. I'm gonna just super glue this tab back in like that. That way I have two holding spots, and hopefully it'll hold. But yeah, so let me get that fixed, let me get that going, and I'll get back to wiring the wire harness, and I'll show off the radio a little bit. Anyway, see you in a second. Alrighty, so I got the tab pretty much glued back in. Still got it dry, and I just used this Gorilla Glue. It's cool because it has a little brush in it, so applying it's a little bit cleaner than just dripping it on. Technically, if you really want to make this stuff work real well, you take a little bit of I believe baking soda, and you sprinkle it on where you glued, and it's supposed to make it like a real hard plastic, like it reacts in a certain way. But it's also, if it gets very hot, so it might melt this plastic. I don't know. I don't have any of that to test it out on. But I'm just gonna let it dry. Even though it's only been a couple minutes, it's already pretty solid. But I'm just going to let it dry for a little bit. I hate this phone. I'm just going to let it dry for a little bit as I work on everything else. So, like I said, I'm going to snip the wires off about right here on both connectors. That way I get everything free. So, then I'll show you exactly what I mean with matching the wires up and everything. Then I'll show off the radio a little bit, so do somewhat of an unboxing, even though I've already been into it. Yeah. So see you in a minute. So here's somewhat of an unboxing. That's the model number if you want this exact radio. And it's made in Finland, though it's got a Chinese microphone. So, in case that answers your question. When we first open it, like I said, I've been in here before, so things might not be exactly the same. First you got the detachable faceplate. Then you got the wire harness. And you got the instruction book. It goes through all the settings and stuff like that. It looks like it's compatible with multiple different units. You got the radio itself with the cage. You got the Bluetooth microphone. It's just a generic piece. And you got some hardware. These are the tools you use to attach and detach the radio from the cage. And that's about it. There's not much in here. I'm just gonna sit these over here for a minute. I'll go there out of my way. This is what I need. So, got you all back in a second. Let me get this all wired up on the thing, on the harnesses real quick. So I'll see you in a minute. So I got the new radio harness right here. Also, it looks a lot very similar to the old one. But I'm pretty sure the pins are all different. And I got the 3 connectors for the adapter harness. Pretty much all you do is just match the wires up, like match yellow to yellow, the red wire to this red wire. All the speaker wires are all in the same color, pretty much. So, and these are actually labeled too, so that kind of helps. These aren't labeled, but you just look in the book, and it'll tell you what it is. But even then, just match the colors up, really. Some of the colors are kind of weird, like this one. This is a brown wire. I'm not exactly sure what it goes to. So, I'm not going to worry about that one. And these 2 over here are... One's an illumination wire. I guess it will brighten the radio up when you turn the power on for the lights. And the other one's a dimmer control. I'm not going to worry about those. Then, of course, the red wires for the switch ignition. Yellow wires constant power. This one might be a ground, actually, now that I think about it. And I'm gonna figure that out. So this will kind of help you when you're looking to if you're trying to figure out wires and stuff like that. Because I think this is a ground, but I'm not sure. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna plug this into the appropriate connector. I think it's this one, and I'm just gonna get my multimeter and see, you know, if it's ground or not. That's what this wire is. So But if I could avoid using that, because I believe that goes to the circuit lighter or whatnot, and I get to just use all the wires in here, that'll be better. That way I could forget about this wire. And I just got these. I'll do that instead. So let me figure that out real quick. And this way I kind of show y'all how to use the multimeter to kind of trace these wires back, at least the power wires. So be back in a second. Well, I guess I ain't gonna have to use this because I plugged the connector in. That pin goes to nothing. So this is a completely useless wire. So I am gonna have to use that one other wire for here, which goes to ground. Yeah, this wire goes to nothing at all. At least on this truck it does. Those are all filled up because these are all speaker wires, and a couple of these are speaker wires, but most of them are the power wires. Like right there's. So yeah, well, that answers that question. So yeah. But what you normally would do, you set this to 20 volts, and you plug this into a ground, or this into this one into a hot source, and you just probe around. But since I don't need to use that, I'm not going to worry about it. But now I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna match the wires up and splice them in. Really, I got all these right here. These are what I'm gonna use. Technically, the best way would be to solder and heat shrink them in, but I'm not gonna worry about that. So I'm using the next best method, which is appropriate size butt connectors. I have gone away with just taking the wires, splicing them, twisting them together, and taping them real good. I have gotten away with that, but that's probably the worst way to do it. But I have gotten away with doing that. But for my sake of sanity, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm not gonna do it that way. I'm gonna do it the semi-right way, which is using these. They also sell something similar to this that has a little bit of solder in it, and it's also a little bit of heat shrink too. And what you do, you put the two wires and you blast it with the heat gun, and the solder will melt, of course, melt into the wires as it heat shrinks them, as it heat shrinks it. So that's probably the second best way, and this will be the third best way. So yeah, let me get this stuff all wired together, and I'll show you the end product after it's done. So see you in a bit. Alrighty, so I got pretty much one whole entire connector spliced into the main connector, and like I said, it's pretty much just matching the colors up. Now I know some people are colorblind, so you might have to figure something else out. So best I could say is just we got the buck that has the pinouts on this, on the main connector right here, and just trace that back to whatever component you're trying to exactly wire into. But other than that, yeah, it's literally just splicing the wires into the with the matching the colors up. Quick note is when you're splicing a wire, let's say you want to splice this into the, you want to put these together, you want to make sure you only take off, say, about that much insulation, about that much insulation, because you don't want the insulation poking way out here. Well, you don't want the conductors pointed way the heck out here. You want to make sure the insulation of this is, inside the butt connector itself. Then when you're splicing, you want to make sure you splice it good. Like, I got two different type of splicers here. This is what I mostly use for the stripping because it's automatic. You just put the wire in, clamp down, and pull. Or you can use these, which, they're kind of more simple and primitive. You just put the wire in the appropriate size hole and just kind of spin it around a little bit, then you pull. But the problem with these ones is very easy to pull conductors out with the wire. Conductors out with the insulation you're trying to splice, which is generally a bad idea because it increases the resistance and yada yada, all that stuff. It can make that part of the wire hot and unstable and also weak. So that you want to try to avoid that. But also it's got a crimp right there, right at the tip, right behind the cut blade, which I use to really snip everything. It's also got a couple other different methods. Even though this one right here is set limit for non-insulated wires, I prefer to use this because that pin right there really gets into the butt connector and squeezes real hard. Though using this is also kind of dangerous because you could poke a hole into the insulation on the butt connector, which kind of defeats the purpose. That's why they kind of want you to use this flat one. And same thing on here. But just be careful when you do it. Really, make sure everything's in. Like give your wires a decent tug after you got done crimping them. Make sure they don't fall out. Inspect it. Make sure it didn't go through. Poke through the insulation. If you did, just wrap it up in tape. Make sure there's no strands of wire poking out. Wrap it up in a little tape or heat shrink or whatnot. Or just cut that one out and put a new and try to do it over again. But that's basically it. Anyway, I'm going to finish crimping all the other wires together because I still got all these right here to worry about. Those wires right there for different accessories, like the blue wire with the white stripe is meant for more like a amplifier. The orange wire I probably will use. That one's for illumination, which will either brighten or dim the display on the radio when you turn the lights on. And the other blue one, I'm not quite sure what it's for. So, I think that blue one's for if you have controls on your steering wheel. Obviously, I don't on this one, but I think that's what that wire's for. I'm gonna look at the book real quick and make sure. So I do have an illumination and dimmer wire on the connector here, and I do have wires for it over there. So like I said, I'm gonna get these wires all spliced in to the other connector, which I have right there. And I'll see y'all in a little bit. So I got it all spliced together, as you can see. Like I said, it turns out that this orange wire is for the illumination, which I do have a wire for, and a pin. So I do have that spliced in. Normally I won't worry about this, but why not now? Like I said, this will go to an amplifier. And just seen what this one was for. I can't remember what it is. So let's check it out real quick. It was on page 39. Alright, blue. Power antenna. Alright, that's what that's for. Oh, this truck don't have a power antenna, so I'm not worried about that. And so yeah, literally just have to plug those 3 cables in, and it's good to go. What you could do if you want to is tape this up. I'm not going to worry about it, but normally that's what you would want to do. But there's literally nothing but plastic in here, and there's a couple metal brackets, but they're pretty much isolated from everything else. So I'm not too worried about anything shorting. Yeah. But let me get this all plugged in and the radio ready to go in, because I think that plate should be dry by now, or dry enough to where I can screw everything in. Then I'll figure out a place where I could run that antenna, not the antenna, microphone. I think I might either go off here next to the wideband, or some place on the dash. Normally, or even right here would probably be a good spot, because it's open enough to where I can stick a mic in there and just have the wire follow the cable. So that's probably what I'll do. Not that I'll use hands-free too much, but it'll be nice to have. Anyway, I'll see y'all in a bit once I get all that figured out. Alrighty. So when you go put the new radio in, you gotta install the cage. Yeah, I got the adapter plate right here. Glue seemed to dry it up pretty nicely. I already got the new cage installed, as you can tell, because it's got a different type of hold down mechanism. And really, what you got to make sure you do is bend up the tabs that are appropriate for the size and distance you want the radio to stick out at. As you see, I got kind of maxed out. Well, maxed out for the minimum thickness, or stick out. I got it pretty much mounted as flush as I can to the adapter plate. So yeah, and it's just opposite when you're trying to remove it. You just bend the tabs back in, or in my case, you just mangle the whole freaking cage. I'm literally just going to throw that radio out because I hate it. So yeah, then you just screw this back in place. You move the wire harness through the cage and just screw it back in place, and just plug the radio in and slide it into place and put it all back together. The radio will literally click in place once it's installed all the way. But let me get this put where it belongs, and I'll get the screws in there. I kind of show you better off what I mean. So I'll see you in a second. So I skipped ahead to pretty much just putting the radio in. It's a little bit of a tight fit back there because of the way the wires are, but that thing seems to be holding. Even then, once I put the plastic plate on, it'll kind of reinforce it a little bit. So basically, all you have to do is put the bezel on, and of course the face plate, and put the plastic on. But I'm gonna test the radio out. I'm going to do that off screen because, you know, copyright claims and stuff like that are ever paying on YouTube, especially recently. So I'll do that off screen, and yeah, then once I get that tested out, I'll put it all back together, and that's it. That'll be the end of the video. So I'll see y'all in a second. Alright, so I did a quick test on the radio, and it fired up perfectly. Already just default settings, it sounds better than the one I replaced, but one more thing is left to do. There y'all go. That's how you install an aftermarket radio into literally any vehicle. So yeah, key points is match the wires up, make sure the splices are good, secured, double check to make sure that your radio supports everything that your vehicle has. And really, just be overall, just be careful. Make sure you don't short anything out. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. My username will be in the description. Um, keep up to date with more videos on the truck. As you see, I got a big hole in the hood with the hood scoop. I have a video coming out on that. And of course, I still got video coming out on me actually getting the truck fired up and the last minute adjustments I had to make. Stay tuned for videos on the Z. I'm going to be doing another radio install on the Buick, but that one's going to be a double dim with the touchscreen. So that one's going to be a little fun, even though it's going to be relatively the same thing. I'm still going to do the video because I think it'd be interesting to show y'all how two different vehicles that are completely different run on similar aspects. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I put the microphone up here. So yeah, and I got the wire going down, around, up and over. So that's how I have it. So yeah, be safe, have fun, and don't forget to tip your waitress.